So let's start and walk me through your answer for list the Scrum values.
So the Scrum values are commitment, focus, openness, respect, and courage.
Okay.
Those are the values. These are just like some explanations just to explain the values. But if you are listing the values, it's commitment, focus, openness, respect, and courage.
Okay. To be fair, that means the learning objective. And actually, while I'm sharing, let's also just have the Scrum guide here. Scrum Guide 2020. Yeah, and if you just look at it, the values, yeah, commitment, focus, openness, respect, and courage. So yeah, that means that learning objective. And this is
But this was something I was even thinking about the other day, right? How do you fit in Scrum values into an organization value set? You know what I mean? Such that, an organization can be agile in principle, right?
Yes.
So how do you, and let's also even use Scrum, and let's assume your form of agility is, or your form of thinking is Scrum in general, right? How do you fit that into an organizational value? You know what I'm trying to say?
Let's do this. Let's think this through. Let's think this through. Let's call this Scrum Foundation meetup. Okay, let's just create a Kanban board. Okay. So let's just put here, which is a good question. Let's put the questions here. Actually, you know what? Let's put selected, in progress, in discussion. Let's just quickly create a board for in discussion done. And the key question is, how do we?
How the organization reflects agile values and of course, you can use Scrum for what may be.
An organization reflect agile values? How does an organization reflect agile values
In its corporate values?
Within its corporate. Okay. Okay, let's think this thing. Let's think it through. So let's get us some sticky notes. And let's just get second one. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we have the values of Scrum, and we've clearly pointed out commitment, focus, openness, commitment. Let's get it right. Focus, openness, respect, and courage. respect, and courage. Okay, so these are Scrum values, right? Okay,
Yes.
and let's just do this. Let's make this card orange. Let's just say organization. Right? Okay. And you have a team. No. And what, let's give examples of the organization value system.
I'll give an example.
Let's just give a couple of examples. If you, let's just say your organization has 3 values, what would they be? So we can just think through it.
Okay, let's say, it's a good question. Let's use customer centric.
Okay. Let us even say the organization has only 1 value.
Yes.
Let us say, like, for the sake of discussion, right?
Yes.
What it just means, right, is when we have, and let us assume, now I'll answer this thing at 3 levels, right? So let's just say at level 1, right, you have a team level.
Yes.
What it will mean is at a team level, people will be delivering value. Let me just put value, right? Team delivers value, which is guided by the organization's objective, right? So the way they work, they are customer centric. At the same time, because they're a Scrum team, they also abide with the Scrum values.
Yes.
So let's just call this organization, let's just call this Mango Inc. for the sake of conversation. Mango Inc., the website team website, which is right.
Yes.
And team website will be something like this. We deliver value to our customers using customer-centric ways of working, philosophy, and thinking. As we deliver this value, we deliver it using Scrum as a framework, and we also abide by the Scrum values where we apply courage, openness, commitment, focus, and respect to our ways of working and our ways of delivering value that is ultimately customer centric.
Okay.
And then you just scale this. Level 1 is at the team level. Level 2 is more thinking about the department now. While you're saying team website, we're saying technology as a whole. Right? Technology as a whole, back to the purpose. Technology as a whole delivers value based on the value set. Right? And then, of course, you then scale it to level 3, where now we're talking about the whole enterprise. Every single one in this organization is customer centric. They put the customer first. Now, by doing that, also because they're an agile organization and the C-suites and the senior leadership team really champion courage, openness, commitment, focus, and respect across the way the organization works and delivers value.
I guess I even understand it better now, Seth.
Now, you can be customer-centric and not necessarily have this value system.
Yes.
And you can have this value system. It will pretty be hard though without being customer-centric.
That is tricky. Can you be customer-centric and not... Actually, you can be customer-centric and not actually apply Scrum values.
Yeah.
That's true.
So really, if you think about it, right, like these Scrum values within this organization, just supporting others, right?
Yes.
What is happening in this system is you're using Agile to tell people, you know what, for us to be more customer-centric, let's be courageous. Let's be open with each other to drive value for the customer. Let's be committed to the goal of being the value of being customer-centric. Let's be focused. Let's respect.
Actually, you know the funny thing? If you think about it, I just even think about it right now, all Scrum values can really be explained by, and most of these organizational goals can typically be explained by what they call it, Scrum, the values.
But if you really think about Scrum, right? Scrum ultimately, if we think about the Agile principle we covered earlier, right? Scrum is in itself a framework that drives continuous value delivery to the customer. So by nature, right, like it's very easy to align Scrum values with being a customer-centric organization.
Exactly.
Because anyways, the nature of Scrum is to be customer-centric. Now, if the goal was, for example, let me just say anti-customer centric, then this will be quite hard to do because you want to be doing the opposite of this. Anti-customer centric and being open and not are at loggerheads.
There are two different things, yes.
So imagine an organization that thrives on lack of transparency. The culture is everyone do their thing in their silo, and you tell people, oh, we're going to be open, but in that culture, they don't have the value system of being customer-centric. So openness will not work, except you are brought in to change that culture. And this is where you start talking about culture hacking, value hacking. And really, that's why folks bring in Scrum Masters or Agile practitioners to help drive this value and ways of working.
Thank you. I guess it now. And that's even I guess it better.
Again, whether your scope is at a team level, a department level, or across the whole business. Okay, I know in our certification chat, you had another question around product 1, product 2, product 3. What was that in relation to? Because I know we PP'd it. Let me see if I can find.
We spoke about it. It was about what they call this thing. It was about. Oh no, I'm trying to remember.
I'm just looking now.
The definition of done.
Oh, okay. I was talking about. Okay, so let's continue. Let's go to actually we can move this to done now. And I will share this link with you so that anytime you have questions, you can just come and pop it. We can use it almost as our link chat board.
Okay.
Fantastic. Okay. So let's go. No, we're not that far. Okay. Now, it says describe how Scrum is aligned with the values and principles of the Agile Manifesto. Can you walk us through your answer?
Okay, so when you look at the Agile values, we have 5, right? And then we looked at, I'll start with the values first: commitment, focus, openness, respect, and courage. So when you're aligning Scrum with, when you want to align, identify the benefit. No, okay, sorry. When you're aligning Scrum with the values and principles of Agile Manifesto, right? You have to, when we look at the values first, right? What am I even saying? Sorry. I think I've missed you on. So the alignment of Agile principles with Scrum, right? So when you look at Scrum says that for Agile principles, we want to satisfy the customer through earlier and continuous delivery of valuable software. So what is that? It's trying to tell you that there's incremental value, incremental value creation. When you look at incremental value creation, we look at Scrum. Scrum uses the sprint to create incremental value, whether it can be published or not, but sprints is meant to create incremental value, which aligns with Scrum principles, right? Then the idea of developing software frequently, which is the iterative part of Agile principles, is something that Scrum does, because Scrum, of course, uses sprints to create an iterative system as well. Then we have Scrum emphasizing that there should be collaboration.
I was at this point. I can't see you, but it does feel like you're reading and you're trying to.
I'm not even, this trinity between me and you. I'm not even reading it.
Okay, but it does show like.
But it's not that it's plenty, right? So it's long to talk.
No, I don't even think you're hitting the point. I don't think.
Okay, it's true. Okay. I think I'll give it over to you.
Let's discuss it. And honestly, this is the challenge of putting this thing into ChatGPT and producing an answer. To be fair, right, like looking at my review, even when I reviewed this offline, I said, okay, no, this is not it. Now, let me dissect it. Why is this not it? Let me actually bring up my presentation. Let me walk you through one. And I've done this a while back, so let me see if actually this actually even misses it. Okay, this is better. Remember we discussed this in our last session. First, and DK, please go and read these things. Please read and understand these things. AI summary is just AI summary that is data crunching. It's not understanding. So, okay, there are two parts to this learning objective. There are two parts to it. Okay. Part one is how does Scrum align with the values? Honestly, maybe in a feature version of this, we should actually even split this. And how does it align to the principles? And actually, similar to your question, right? You have two different value sets. How does Scrum map to it? Broadly speaking, you have one framework with a value set. Really, that's what this. So let's remember, right, like we discussed this last session. Yes. What are the values? The values are individuals and interaction over tools and processes, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to change over following a set plan. This while there is value on the items on the left, we value the items. While there is value on the items on the right, we value the items on the left more. We discussed this. And maybe it's something for you to go and review that video. So the first part of this learning objective is say, let's take a step back. How does Scrum align with this? Now, one answer to this, let's just think about this, right? Like, yeah, to the four key values. When you think about individual interaction over processes, Scrum is about collaboration, sufficient collaboration within the Scrum teams via the events, where people are interacting, having conversations, whether it's sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint retro, sprint review, and supporting event within the Scrum team. And this is happening on a daily basis, ideally face-to-face. The world has moved on to now more face-to-face digitally. But Scrum via events create an atmosphere of continuous collaboration where it puts people and interaction over just sending messages on via tools. Now, Scrum is not saying processes and tools are important. They are important. However, individuals and interaction as Scrum has channeled that through its Scrum events demonstrates that. You're bringing the customers and the stakeholders collaborating with the team. And as I said, ideally, at least on a daily basis. Now, working software over comprehensive documentation. What is this really about? Think about it, right? Like in Scrum, if you have read the guide, and for you to have read definition of done, you have definitely read increments. In the ideal world, at least you would have one increment in your sprint review. Now, it's not limited to it, but Scrum doesn't tell you spend a long time creating voluminous documents. No, Scrum is telling you create enough document as you need to maintain your process, but less every sprint, ideally, depending on your sprint length, 1 to 4 weeks, continuous produce working software. Now, this was written with software teams in mind, but I just generalize this to working value. Are we producing working value continuously to our customers? And Scrum helps us that, and that is the power of producing an increment every sprint. If you're very fast every week, relatively, if your process just takes more time, 4 weeks, at least that is the feedback loop. Now, let's take a step back. Why is this important? For teams that are working in a more waterfall way, sometimes their releases are once every 6 months, once a year. In those sort of systems, delivering working software is far in between. And usually you deliver it so late in the process that the customer's requirement has changed. Remember, we discussed this. We're delivering value in a complex world. So the earlier we deliver value quickly rather than spending so much time on documentation, the better we get feedback and actually deliver what the customer wants. Which leads to the third point. Agile says, you know what, like, let's take a step back. We value customer collaboration over contract negotiation. The two ways to look at this. We're not going to beat around the bush trying to negotiate what the requirement is and until all the I's and T's are dotted before this work will start. No, Scrum says take a step back. Let's collaborate within our sprint via our events on a daily basis and come every 1 to 4 weeks, depending on the sprint length, to examine the value that has been delivered, collaborate together to create the next value. So you are always continuously, the team, the user, and the stakeholder are always in sync. That collaboration is strong. That feedback loop is there. Both parties are learning about the system and working closely together. And if the team needs to adapt based on what the customer wants or based on shifts in the environment, the value for comes in, responding to change over a plan. As we're delivering value in Scrum, we're learning. The user is also learning. They're adapting. Scrum welcomes change. Remember, in a waterfall system, you have a plan that is signed off, and for you to adapt that plan is just way more expensive, and then you have to start raising change requests. But Scrum says, you know what, we will work on the highest priority backlog, and as we're learning about system, we adapt. We understand that we're delivering in a complex environment, and things change. Rather than go through a long bureaucratic and time-consuming process, we just adapt on the go. If the user says we're thinking about strategy A that leads to product A, however, based on the last couple of sprints that we have delivered, strategy A is not working, we pivot to strategy B. That is the point of the value. You're responding to change. And Scrum helps us via the sprint backlog, the product backlog, our sprint goal, the feedback loop we're getting from customers to adapt to change. And this is more the sort of answer you are. See, the fact that it says describe, and you might say, okay, yes, this is a comprehension-based learning. That's the point. It's a comprehension-based learning objective. I'm sure we're like, let's think about this. Let's do this. Exactly. So if I compare this answer now, and I look at it, value answer, the delta is not that great. Yeah, okay, that one even did 3, maybe you just thought one of it was not necessary. For this, there's no comprehension. Yes, technically, I can argue that, but okay, it's sort of, and this is the point of this call, right? I think you need to take a step back and, okay, what does this mean? What does this describe how Scrum is aligned to the values? Okay.
What I was going to take was describing how maybe you use what you do in Scrum, of course, reflects the Agile principles of values.
Exactly.
That's what I was trying to explain it.
But whatever ChatGPT produced is not, and this is where you have to be careful with this. This is not comprehension. I'm going to ask ChatGPT, like, literally, no, let me do this. And this is why, even from your answer, I can see that, like, oh, I think they are struggling a bit here. Right. So individuals, blah blah blah. Scrum emphasizes collaboration. Yeah, physically. But this is just auto-generated. Do you understand? Do you comprehend how really Scrum? Because now, whether you apply this to your project at work or your business, or you need to understand, okay, when I do Scrum, how does it actually align to the values of Agile? Does it align? Of course, now, okay, I've told you that Scrum framework is derived from Agile thinking. It's one manifestation to practicalize that. But why? Now, do you have any question before we touch on the principles?
No.
Okay, so let's take again, right? This example. Now, for each principle, I will not let me just quickly go through them one liner. So okay, we have 12 principles. How does Scrum help us now? Very quickly, certify customer through early and continuous delivery. Sprint review. That's the point, right? At least you have one sprint review. It doesn't mean you can have more review sessions, more demo, more value delivered to customer. Scrum does mandate at least you must have one, because you want that continue. You want to be delighting customer. Welcome changing requirements even late in the project. That's why in Scrum we can adapt our sprint backlog and our product backlog to the customer needs. No CR required. No long process. Deliver working software frequently. Again, with high collaborations within the team and the consumer, we deliver every 1 to 4 weeks. Business people and developers must work daily, either via daily collaboration sessions between the Scrum team and the business, or via workshops. Now, practically speaking, there's debate in the industry. You can do a sim session with your collaborators if needs be, but anyways, there has to be that continuous collaboration, and Scrum champions that. Building projects around motivated individual. You want to hope that, like, by delivering value to your customers, people are happy. Through your retrospective, you're adapting the processes to ensure that people are happy. People are becoming more cross-functional, they're self-managed, they're high-performing, they're empowered. That's how Scrum is aligning to these principles. Let's hit a bit more. I said engage face-to-face communication. Ideally, in person, Scrum advises us to see the person, work collaboratively, just because it has a higher EQ and collaboration effect compared to digital. But anyway, even if you're going to do digital, this is why I advise folks to come show that video. Communicate, like, it's different. I'm not going to be a blank screen. Better communication, better collaboration means you should be, and that's what Scrum is encouraging. Measure progress by working product. The real measure of a Scrum is, are you continuously delivering value? Are your increments valuable to the customer? Not by any fancy metrics, which you can do if you want to create vanity metrics for your stakeholders, but in Scrum, the true measure is working product, working value. Maintain a constant pace. In Scrum, you maintain the cadence of your sprint. We're not trying to crash people, make them do overtime, work on the weekends. No. Once the team gets a relatively stable pace for their sprint, they continuously deliver. And you don't bond them. Pay attention to technical excellence, exactly. Via your retrospective, via your sprint reviews, only days for continuous inspecting and adapting the technical process and the design. 2, improve technical excellence. Scrum is constantly giving the opportunity to practice that principle. Simplicity, of course, Scrum teaches to keep it simple. Let's deliver the value that the customer needs now, the highest order item. Let's keep it simple. Focus on only one product goal at a time. Focus on only one sprint goal at a time. Let's keep it simple. Let's use Lean to remove waste and only focus on essential value. Of course, the best architecture requirement and design emerges from a self-organizing team. Scrum does that very well. Our teams have one backlog that is emerging, that is ordered. And we, as a Scrum team, own that. We are self-managed. And the principle of reflect and adapt keenly highly practiced within the sprint retrospective. At least once a sprint. You can have multiple retros within the sprint, but at least once a sprint, we're looking at the people, the interaction, the process, the tools, and our definition of thought, reflecting it and adapting it to deliver better value, better ways of working, happier, safer, sooner.
I have a question. What do you mean by self-managing?
Okay, think about this. You have a team. Let's let me put a message. Okay. This is a good picture. Let me open this image in new tab. Yeah, a very profound picture, right? In most working cultures, you have a team and you have that senior person or the loudest person in the room, or as people will call it, hippo, the highest paid person in the organization, basically telling, okay, team, website, go and build this web page, build it now, build it fast, and they're just taking orders from Mr. Sam. They're very empowered. They don't organize their work. They just wait for Sam to say, give us work to do, and they just basically sheepishly go and do it. In a self-organizing team, let's bring another image. Okay, let me put this. Let me just put the picture of Scrum team. There's one picture like that comes up. Okay, let me do this. Okay, you see it. I think this will link you to the kind of what I'm looking for exactly. This is the picture I'm looking for. Just think about. Okay, I want the image in your tab. Think about this image now. In this image, the team is looking at what they're doing and they're deciding, oh, what should we do next? Okay, this is done. This one is doing. Okay, Sarah has some capacity. I'm going to pull one of these new items. That's what I want to work on. It will deliver value for the customer. Michael, the PO, said, yes, I concur with that. She's empowered. And Jeremy also, knowing what the sprint goal is going to have decided the next item is going to work on to drive customer value. This team is self-organized. They determine the work they do that will drive customer value. Well, this one is, they don't care about what customer value is. They're not self-organizing. Someone comes and say, hey, Suzanne, do this. Matthew, do this. Paul, do this. And do it now and fast. I don't care. We need to deliver this to the customer now. But someone says, no, that's not how we should work. We should be self-organized. We're intelligent knowledge workers. Again, back to that value of respect. We respect each other. We're committed to the product and sprint goal. Let's be open about work. Let's be focused. And let's commit to the items that deliver value for the customer. And as a Scrum Master, right, usually you come into this setting, that they bring you in as a Scrum Master into this setting. And again, back to your question. Now, an organization can have what I call the fancy values on its website, and most do. But when you go to a team and you ask, okay, what is the value system here? And you're like, okay, first, this team value system doesn't align with the organization. Anyway, so reality is different from what is theoretical on the company's documentation. And what they're then trying to do, back to your original question, is you're trying to bring them closer to the true organizational value, and you're also trying to embed the Scrum values within the team, if that's your scope, the department, or the entire organization depending on your scope of behavioral change. Yeah. The question is again, this is definitely not the spirit of a Scrum team. This is. Yeah, so please ChatGPT can give you ChatGPT answer, and this is deliberately a long session, but it's good. It's good. We'll just hit the 1 hour mark, and I know we only went through 2 things, but actually this is described. Very important we take a step back and really understand this. Remember, according to the Bloom taxonomy, we're expected to comprehend it. You should be able to confidently talk about anything that is described. But today you were struggling and you were missing your words.
Yes.
Okay, so let's just focus on the next. Maybe what we'll do a circular round. Let's just put a comment here. Needs revision. I think the key feedback is ensure you comprehend the point. Ensure you comprehend the learning objective. Fantastic session. Any question? But I would say one of putting this work is very important because this is why we're having these review sessions so that you understand, you get it, and there's a point. Like it's basically back to the spirit of Agile, continuous collaboration and feedback loops. So let's take a step back again and think and study these things.
Sure.
Don't just put the learning objective, make it look good, and you can there's no comprehension.
Okay. That will be effective.
Okay, so I think that we know the date, so we'll pick up from 5 to 3 in our next session. Okay. Thank you so much. Have a good night rest.